Good morning, everybody. We're going to kick off this morning. We're going to start actually with a video about America's All In.
An end to pollution. An America powered by clean energy. It's a country where we breathe cleaner air and we're healthier. Where all Americans live in communities that are safer and built to last. Where wildfires and hurricanes do not cost human lives and billions of dollars every year. Where the sun and the wind power our homes. Clean energy jobs boost our economy. And our bills are cheaper. Where our lives, our work, and our society is shaped to protect us and our planet. Where we use smart investments and new technologies to our greatest advantage. You can see it, right? Now is the time to go all in, to cut global emissions in half by the end of this decade. Now is the time to work together to achieve our vision. America's All In is the largest coalition of leaders ever assembled in support of climate action in the United States. We are already 5,000 members strong and growing, with cities, states, tribal nations, businesses, schools, faith groups, cultural institutions, and healthcare organizations showing what climate action means in our communities. We are committed to accelerating progress towards this sustainable future by showing what going all in means in every corner of America. Standing up for local businesses and community leadership, fostering collaboration and development of new technologies, championing new ways of investment, celebrating workers and communities as they achieve more. 67% of Americans prioritize developing alternative energy sources like wind and solar. And America's All In is ready to jumpstart this future that we all want to see. It's time to go all in on climate. Will you join us? Visit americasallin.com.
Great. Well, hi, everyone. I'm Marcine Mitchell. I'm the Senior Vice President for Climate Change for the World Wildlife Fund, which manages the All In, America is All In Coalition. And my job this morning is to welcome you all to the America is All In Action Center. We're going to have 2 days, 2 or 3 days of incredible programming, and I hope you'll come and join us and learn about all the great things that everyone in this room and others are doing. And since I've joined WWF, I have to say this is probably my most fun thing to do at COP, to welcome and to start this Climate Action Center. This is really where we see what's happening on the ground and with people who are really actually getting the job done, right? This coalition, as you heard, is massive. We're over 5,000 members stretching across the nation, including states and cities and tribal nations, where businesses, higher institutions of higher education, civil societies, the healthcare industry, and many, many more. So we are really, we are all in. This is all of civil society. This is all of us pulling together to address this climate crisis that we're in. And you know, this is the year of the global stock take. We know that we've heard that we're not on track. We have felt it. 2023 is turning out to be the hottest year in record. And we know we're feeling it. Even in the West, we're feeling it in the United States. As of November 8th, there were 25 billion plus disasters, 25 in 2023, all-time record. And in many instances, it's much, much more than just $1 billion. Hurricane Harvey, for instance, clocked in at over $155 billion in damages, one of the costliest storms in U.S. history. And it's not just dollars. We saw, our hearts all broke and went out to the people in Hawaii with the wildfires, where we lost over 100 lives, 115 lives were lost, and still there are dozens that are missing. We've had heat waves and heat domes all over the South and the Midwest, with temperatures soaring for days. So we're really beginning to feel it. All of our communities are being affected. But in the face of all of that, you know, we are seeing folks like you, leaders like you, rising to the occasion, right? Our team recently had the privilege of working on a story about community resilient projects in Houston, Texas. because these communities are really where this hits the ground. These are the folks who are impacted. And we're leveraging funding from the Climate Justice Initiative as part of the IRA, which has been a game changer for us all and will continue to be. And with technical assistance from the Bullard Center to help these communities respond faster, prepare better, use their own resources, and not have to wait for someone to come in and do it for them. Being really able to take their own power into their hands and make their networks, that's doing the job. We also need doers to commit to net zero in our businesses, to be inspired by the work of our environmental and cultural partners, our museums and science centers and cultural centers, who are some of the most respected and valued and believed institutions in our countries, right? People believe their science museum. These folks are coming together and they are doing an emissions inventory to allow the sector to benchmark its efforts to decarbonize and show others what they can do in their communities. They are doing the job. And so what is inspiring about America's All In is there are so many of us, so many people here in this room and outside who are doing this job. And there's a different job in each of our communities, right? It's not the same. Some of it's energy efficiency, some of it's energy use in building, some of it's solar panels, some of it's changing transport systems. It's a lot, but when you add all that together, that's what really makes the difference in the long term. So I just wanted to say welcome. I want you to be energized and excited about and proud of yourselves about all the work you're doing. Please spend the time and get to know each other. The value of coming to COP, which is quite a thing to do, is learning the lessons of other folks, right? It's networking, it's really being able to see what is working out there. We don't have to reinvent the wheel every time. We can really learn from each other. So please take that opportunity, and in that way we will get the job done. So speaking of getting the job done, it is my job now to declare that America is All In Action Center is officially open. So welcome.
Thanks so much. Thanks so much for not introducing me. No, I'm only kidding. First of all, let me say something I've said a million times already. My name's Gina McCarthy. How's everybody? It's exciting to be here. I'm sorry we were rushing in a little bit late. We have a great panel, so I really want to cut my remarks short because I'm sure you're going to want to hear from them. But I just want to welcome you to another full day of programming because it's been amazing so far, and I'm so excited. This is America is All In's 5th straight COP, and I'm so excited to be the managing co-chair of America's All In now, and I'm so excited about the work that's going on, and I have to say I couldn't be more thrilled that today is Health Day. Because to me, there's no difference between climate and health. They are one and the same. And the reason why we're so excited is we have solutions today. We can bring benefits to human beings, not just save the planet. And that's what it's all about. And so I think without further ado, we have such a great panel here. I should just call on them to provide some remarks because as you will see, everybody comes from a different place. But everybody's heart in their mission is in the same place. And so I want you to hear from them and listen to them, and then hopefully we'll have a chance as time moves on to even get to know one another better and to figure out how we can collaborate, because that's what Bloomberg does. He pulls people together who care and share the same values and who are willing to work and collaborate with one another. And yesterday was a big day. It was the first day that I think, you know, the Bloomberg team was given an offer by the federal government in the United States to actually be a partner in the development of the next NDC, which is really cool because it means your voices are going to be heard in one of the most important exercises that the federal government does. So without further ado, let me introduce the panel because it's terrific. We have a newbie, or a new entrant. Spend money because they make money. This is good. We have Kevin Rabinovich, who's the Vice President of Sustainability at Mars Incorporated, who is also an All-In Leaders Circle member. So let's get started with the panel. I'm going to seamlessly switch to a microphone that's not yet on. Oh, no, it is on. Sorry, I was only kidding. But anyways, let's start. Let's start with you, President Helgerson, and work our way back. Because I want you to be able to talk a little bit about the work you're doing with your students to prepare them for the clean energy future.
All right, so hi all. I'm Karin Hilgersum and I'm the president of TMCC, which is actually located in Reno Sparks, Nevada. People confuse Truckee, California with us, and it's not the same, but we have about 10,000 students. We train for Tesla and Panasonic, and because in partnership with the Department of Labor, one of the solutions that is truly working are apprenticeship grants. So many of our students, and I think at this point we started this work in about 2017, we've trained hundreds, perhaps thousands of people for pathways in manufacturing in the renewable energy sector. So that's been wonderful. But we do so much more. Our college has been recognized for its efforts to be carbon neutral. Our students and our faculty have done, in the spring there were 160 projects going on at the curricular level around sustainability and creating a healthier world. This year we're trying to ban plastics, which is really hard because we've really spoiled ourselves as gosh, it's terrible what we've done with overusing plastics. But I'm very proud of my college. It's a fantastic place to be. There is so much going on in terms of research around batteries. That's the next thing that's happening in northern Nevada. Some of you may have heard of Redwood Materials. They're one of the first companies to receive quite a large federal loan for recycling battery materials. There's a battery company here that's one of our partners who has a new process for lithium batteries, which will not rely on cobalt and nickel. All of those things are things that our students are interested in. And I'll close by saying, because I know we've got a short amount of time, that community colleges, TMCC's been around since 1971. And when you talk about equity and access and social justice, this is the model. We are a Hispanic serving institution with about 35% of our students Latinx. We've got so many wonderful faculty members who have leaned into sustainability. We have people who English is a second language, people who are undocumented, people who are DACA, right? And if we're really going to be ready for an infrastructure that is truly grounded in renewable energies, we need to do a couple of things. Continue to lean into this, to our country's community colleges, because we've been doing this social justice work for decades, literally decades. We are here for our communities. And also, let's find a legal path to citizenship. It's literally ridiculous that so many people, many of whom have been born in the Reno area, still are not citizens, and they do live in some fear. And it's not right. It's just not right. And frankly, they're already working in manufacturing industries. Okay, it would be so nice if they didn't have to work in a way that felt, clandestine to them and felt safe. And anyway, I'm a daughter of immigrants, so this is really important to me. My parents immigrated here with $3 in their pocket and found a way to legal citizenship, and we're proud Americans and could defend democracy in 2 languages, which is a wonderful thing to do. Anyway, thank you.
That was wonderful. You go, girl. The newbie's really rocking. So why don't we turn now to President Sharp, because I know she's been at many of the COPs, as I have, and I thought she might bring a little bit of reflection on what she's seeing and changes that might be happening, and what message you think we ought to be bringing today.
Excellent question. Thank you. Yeah, a bit of a reflection. I've been doing that a lot this week. My very first COP was COP 14 in Poznan, Poland back in 2008. Yes. So that was after President Obama had been elected, but before he was sworn in, and there was a great deal of hope and optimism around the world about the United States coming to the table. And at that time, I found it very difficult to have any sort of substantive conversation around climate change inside the United States. And so it was for that reason, a young president in my first term, I was elected in 2006 for my first term, that I was going to go out internationally. And our scientists and tribal nations, we really look to good new and emerging science as well as traditional science, traditional knowledge. And so as a young president, I was confronted immediately back in 2006 with the threat of climate change. But on the surface, you couldn't really see it. But our elders talked about millions of sockeye salmon returning to our river system just in their lifetime. The year I was elected, we only had 3,000 sockeye return to the Quinault River. And I remember our scientists saying, this is an existential threat. It's going to get worse. It's going to intensify. The conditions are going to become more frequent. And so the unthinkable reality that I saw back then every year is coming to pass. And I remember with Hurricane Sandy, tribal nations for the first time were able to declare our own states of emergency with some amendments to the Stafford Act. And so over the years, I've just seen this great deal of hope, never giving up. Never giving up the idea that the solutions lie within us. And so right now we are really focused on creating public-private partnerships, because as epic as the Inflation Reduction Act was, $500 million for tribal nations, you divide that among 580 tribes, and it's less than $1 million. I have to move 2 villages to higher ground. The Pacific Ocean is now encroaching. Highway 101 is about to go into the Pacific Ocean, the only access road to our village. The glaciers that feed the mighty Quinault River are disappearing. The Anderson Glacier in the Olympic Mountains is completely gone. And so we priced carbon in the state of Washington. We held industry accountable, passing the Climate Commitment Act after the fossil fuel industry, through the Western States Petroleum Association, spent $33 million to kill our campaign, our vision, out-of-state fossil fuel interests. So we came back, passed the Climate Commitment Act. So we've done all we can at the state level, at the congressional level. So now we know that we have to have public-private partnerships. And we know there's a global scale of resources that are trying to figure out how do we deploy directly to tribal nations, both from multinationals as well as other countries. And so we are leading the way. We just launched at the National Congress of American Indians a foundation to really garner, and we want to create a gold standard for investors, because now companies are being sued by shareholders for not managing their assets against climate risk. And they're wanting to know, how do we invest and take that to the bank? But with tribal nations, you could take it to the bank. We're going to restore salmon. We're going to value water as a sacred resource. So we want to be able to create that tight nexus. Investors want longevity. We've been doing this for millennia, tens of thousands of years. And so we're just excited about bringing people together and really entering a place where we could bring traditional knowledge, but as well as monetize our sovereign interest to enter international trade and commerce to attract foreign investment that otherwise wouldn't even come to the United States. So a lot of reflection, a lot of time has gone by. We still have a sense of urgency, but we still have a very bright future, and know that we're not only going to meet this challenge, we're going to emerge stronger.
Whoa. I love this panel. You know, because optimism is it,
Yes.
right? Human beings thrive on hope and opportunity. And I have to say, you live in one of the most beautiful places in the world. I just love it there. And I'm sure if Governor Inslee were here, he'd be yapping away about it. But it's great to be here. Mayor Simmons, let's talk about Greenville, Mississippi, a little bit different place, but equally beautiful.
Yes.
You want to talk about some of the work you're doing at the community college, but also some of the partnerships and new initiatives that are being framed?
Yes, ma'am, and I do want to thank Kevin for being here. Folks don't know, but the 90-second rice Mars Food, which is a Belgium company, Uncle Ben's or Ben's Original, is made in Greenville, the only place that 90-second rice is made. So it powers our economy.
I knew you were
from
sitting next to
farm.
him for
Yeah,
a
that's right.
reason.
So I'm trying to get some more money from Mars.
We go way back.
Yeah, that's we go way back. But from farm to fork, Mars Ben's Original, our porch serves about 4,000 farmers in the Mississippi Delta, the Arkansas Delta, Louisiana Delta, and they grow rice. It gets to Mars Food, and we ship that rice around the world. And I just wanted to say that because I'm asking Kelvin implicitly for more money for Greenville, Mississippi. But I'm not here just as the mayor of Greenville, Mississippi. Ms. McCarter, you know, I'm the past immediately co-chair of a group of mayors on the Mississippi River Basin called the Mississippi River Cities and Towns Initiative. It's a group of bipartisan mayors because what we truly understand is when a hurricane comes, it's not a blue hurricane or a red hurricane. When a wildfire happens, it's not red or blue. You know, when a flood happens or a drought happens, it's not red or blue. So these group of mayors have come together in bipartisanship, but also in the spirit of coordination and collaboration to look at the world's most working river, the Mississippi River Basin. It's the world's largest food-producing river basin. The Mississippi River is unique in its own right. 1 in 12 folks consume commodities produced on the Mississippi River. And unlike the Nile, the Amazon, and all of these other river basins, we ship most of the commodities that are produced and grown on the Mississippi River Basin. The freshwater economy of the Mississippi River comprises of manufacturing, tourism, and agriculture, and generates about $458 billion with a B in revenues for the United States annually, and it produces and supports about $1.358 billion annually. Freshwater economy with those manufacturing industries, and also it supports 1.3 million jobs right there on the Mississippi River Basin. So what we've done is we've looked at disaster impacts, not including Ida, but since 2005, we've sustained over $256 billion in disaster losses. That's flood, there's hurricanes. Of course, we're not including Hurricane Ida, and I know if Mayor Cottrell was here, she'll talk about saltwater intrusion and all of the things that we're doing. But these mayors have come together in the spirit of bipartisanship, and we're launching 3 initiatives here at COP28. In COP27, we unveiled 66,000 acres of unused farmland, wetlands, marshes, nature-based infrastructure. We're adding another 40,000 to top 100,000 nature-based infrastructure on the Mississippi River Basin, working with private industry. Cargill, 2 Degrees of Doubt, Black and Veatch did a study to see what areas and what scale of nature-based infrastructure we should deploy and at what scale on the Mississippi River. Reconnected floodplains, marshes, and they determined that these 5 areas on the Mississippi River we're gonna deploy. It's gonna help 9 states and 45 cities with this nature-based infrastructure. The good thing about it, it is gonna actually sequester 230,000 tons of carbon. It's gonna get President Biden 30% closer to his non-power NDC goals. The good thing about it is these lands are gonna be placed in permanent conservation status, so we're gonna reduce methane release. So it is a great opportunity, a great project that is ecologically and environmentally sound, but is also economically good for those cities and towns on the Mississippi River. I can just firmly believe, and you know, you've been to, when last time you said you was in Greenville? About a year and a half ago. We had the flood of 1927. And when the flood of 1927 left, we had the Great Migration, and folks left everywhere. And I can tell you, with a city with 38.6% poverty rate, the land that they left our folks on, the black and brown folks, it wasn't beachfront property. And so the people who bear the brunt of the disaster losses that we deal with day in and day out, all up along the Mississippi, are folks who are poor, folks who are disadvantaged. And so we want to make sure that not only are we doing the things right for the environment, but when we talk about green jobs and the green transition, how can we get the youth engaged and get those folks engaged to make sure that they benefit from this climate movement as well? So thank you so much. I can tell you 2 more, I'll be real quick. 2 other announcements we're making is a parametric facility with the reinsurance industry. I saw Raghavir here, and I know he and I will be speaking on a panel. Most of the insurance in the world is indemnification, but what we're looking at as mayors, how do we bounce back quicker, be more resilient, get our industry back working, get our folks back to going to work, and we're looking at a parametric facility with the reinsurance industry, and also through a grant with the Netherlands, we're working with Resilience Capital, Cities Catalyst out of New York to do a challenge with 30 cities, looking at infrastructure and what they can do to turn more green infrastructure on their cities, and we're competing with that particular grant. So thank you so much, Ms. Carter, for giving me that time.
Well, Mayor, that's amazing. Look, you had me at hello. I just think that mayors are it. And I couldn't be more proud of everybody who joined the first Local Climate Action Summit that Bloomberg has hosted. And it was just a great opportunity to see the excitement and the enthusiasm, because mayors get stuff done. If you don't hang out very long, right? And really, this is all about developing not just hope and optimism, but delivering on hope and optimism, right, for the people that you serve. And it's not an easy job. So thank you for everything that you're doing. Kevin, I assume your job's not a cakewalk either, but it's private sector, so it's pretty cool. And one of the things that we're really trying to get out from under the covers on is that we need public and private partnerships. We cannot do it alone. And I know that Mars has been really aggressive in their own net zero strategy, but can you give us a sense of how you see this public-private partnership really working?
Yeah, absolutely, and thanks for the invite to be here. This is actually a great panel for me because in addition to the facility that we have in Greenville, Mississippi, we have a pet food factory in Sparks, just a couple miles down the road from the Gigafactory. So, I'm got Mars all over the place up here. Yeah, maybe just before answering the net zero question, maybe one reflection is, you mentioned a president that had been elected, not yet sworn in. So in 2016, we had a president who'd been elected, not yet sworn in, who pulled the U.S. out of the Paris Climate Agreement, which led to which led to a rather hastily convened press conference in Marrakesh, where myself and three others started to be able to make the argument for like, no, the U.S. government might be out, but the private sector's still in, NGOs are still in, others are still in. That in turn led to the creation of We Are Still In, which then in turn turned into America's All In. And so,
great.
And I sort of tell that in our arc because I think certainly for Mars, and really I think for a lot of the private sector, we hope and count on the U.S. government and other governments to be allies, but this is a problem that we need to address and we need to tackle, whether the political will is there or not. That's right. So this message of still in and staying the course is very much the way we approach this, because again, similar to mayors, we don't have the luxury of ignoring the physical realities of what's happening in the world, right? We source from farmers that grow rice in Mississippi and other crops all over the world, and if they're suffering from climate change that's a result of the way they and we and others have sort of run our economy, you can't hide from that by pretending it doesn't matter, right? And so that's been very much our approach all along. So in terms of our commitment to net zero, we think the real key to dealing with all of this is sort of what I've already alluded to, is anchor on the science, anchor on the facts. And so, we measure the carbon footprint of everything in our value chain. We don't leave anything out because we know that everything that happens upstream of us is at some level a consequence of the products that we choose to design and the raw materials we choose to use. And everything that happens downstream of us is a consequence of the products we've designed and the people we sell them to and the way consumers use them, like that 90-second ready-to-heat rice. Thank you for that, by the way. And so at some level, we have responsibility for all of it. Now, in many cases, it's a shared responsibility with the people that are acting in those other stages of the value chain. And so our targets are about everything in. And, I think the other thing that we really are leaning into, and I think, frankly, something we're a little bit concerned about, is there's not enough discussion about performance of the private sector. So, you come to COP, you know what the NDCs are, which are the commitments of the governments, or which are kind of the equivalent of corporate net zero targets. But you also know, through the global stocktake, how countries are doing. So you can have a good conversation about you said X, you're Y, there's a gap, what's going on. That isn't really the case in the private sector at the moment, right? And I think that's a real missing link, is having clear, transparent, performance-driven accountability discussions. And so that as a private sector company, you shouldn't win for having the best target. You shouldn't win for having the most compelling plan. You shouldn't win for spending the most money on your climate plan. You should win for having the biggest reduction in your carbon footprint since your base year. You know, everything else is noise, right? The climate's deaf. It doesn't hear any of that. It just knows molecules up and molecules down. And so all that noise can be useful and beneficial, but it's all got to be in service of actually driving a change in emissions. And so, you know, that's something that we're very interested in figuring out how to bring that really to the top of the discussion about what's going on in the private sector.
Can I say one thing?
Yes.
Kevin, because I'm still trying to get some money here. But this is a prime example of what Mars is doing. Yeah, moving rhetoric to results. And so, you know, back about 3 years ago, Mars committed $2.5 million in the city of Greenville for food access, healthy foods for children and families to eat, but also for educational opportunities. It's been really wonderful working with you all in that initiative, making sure that, you know, because the Delta has a high incidence of diabetes, of congestive heart failure. It's a very poor area. And for Mars Food, corporate citizen to come to the table and say, look, we're going to go into your schools. We're going to pay for food core service members. We're going to teach folks the sodium content, the sugar content on the back of canned food drives. We're going to make sure that we make children eat better and then go teach their families how to eat better. Is remarkable. And I just want to let you know, and you can tell Frank Mars and the family back in Belgium that Mayor Simmons said that, and we want y'all to do another 40 years in Greenville, Mississippi, and give us more money for our children.
And the mayor wouldn't mind going to
that's
Belgium just to deliver that message.
I could go to
if you
Belgium and
want.
talk to your board, so just let me know.
Well, listen, I know believe it or not, we're over time. So I just want to say that this panel is quite a remarkable mix of people who are really thinking big and acting at a level that will change people's lives. That is what it's all about. You know, when you go out there and talk about climate change, please talk about the benefits of the transition that we are in. Please let people know that we have the solutions we need, that we are going to remain optimistic, we're going to keep driving change, and that change is everything at every level that we need to just keep moving forward. Thank you so much for an awesome panel, and individually for the incredible work that you all do. It's really magnificent. Thanks everybody for joining.
Thank you.